Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to Microsoft Flight Simulator. Welcome back to the fly-by-wire A380. And welcome to Frankfurt Airport in Germany. Today we're going to be taking the newly released fly-by-wire A380 and taking a little bit more of an in-depth look at the aircraft. Some of the more study-level aspects of the systems, and just in general, more in-depth look at the aircraft overall as far as the flight characteristics and handling of the aircraft are concerned. You can see I've got the unpainted primer Airbus livery here. And we're going to be flying today from Frankfurt over to Iceland, where we're going to, in a later video, potentially do some cold weather testing, see what the aircraft looks like and handles icing and that sort of thing. So without further ado, let's begin. All right, and on board a cold and dark A380, we'll go over the full startup procedure for this aircraft as well as programming our FMS today. So if you're not in the books for a lengthy video, maybe check out a different one. I've got a review of the SWS PC-12 as well as the general overview of this aircraft already available to watch, and a catalog that spans back to like, I don't even know, 2009 maybe for other stuff. But getting started in the A380, you see we've got our ground power available. We're not going to utilize ground power today. We're just going to use the onboard batteries. So we're going to go ahead and turn on our primary, essential, secondary, and APU battery, those four right there. And you can see we've got a little bit of life on the aircraft now. You can see our standby ADI is on, as well as our autopilot, and our radios have come to life as well. Let's go to the APU, turn on the master switch, as well as the start switch. I'm going to move these strobes into auto and the navigation lights on, so people know that we've got power on board the aircraft. And we'll wait a little bit for the APU to spool. There we go. It's now running on APU power. You can see our displays are now in a self-test mode. Once you get your interior lighting all set, I'll do a little bit more of that as we move along. But to keep the video going, let's go ahead and start aligning our IRS or ADRS in the Airbuses. So we'll turn those three guys to nav. Similar function to all other Airbus family products, so nothing too outlandish there. That'll take about 7 minutes to do. Let's turn on our crew supply and arm our emergency lighting system, as well as turn on our fasten seatbelt and no smoking sign to automatic. Now that that's running, I'm going to dim down floodlight here as well as our pedestal light. Just want a little bit of light there. And then we can come over to the FMS. Now I need to grab my screenshot here. We're going to be using that guy. This is just a screenshot of the flight sim initial loading, and we're going to program based off of this. So this is what I'm going to be referencing for our flight plan today, just in case you guys don't have SimBrief, although I do recommend it if you are really into flight simming. So on the primary FMS page, we're currently on the aircraft data page. So we're going to go over into the active and then the init page. And on the FMS, we're going to do EDF to BIKF. Hopefully it finds that. There we go. Don't have an alternate. Unfortunately, there's nowhere for us to go. And our cruise flight level today is going to be 420. Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. F. And our cruise level, flight level today is going to be FMS works with us, flight level 420. The crew index of 40. Check on the IRS. We're still aligning, which is fine. So that's all good there. If you did have a SimBrief loaded, you could do that right here. We obviously don't have Navigraph or SimBrief loaded on this aircraft. Next we'll go to the flight plan page. You can see we've got whole bunch of stuff we need to fill in here, right? So we've got our origin airport of Frankfurt and our destination airport of Keflavik. Let's go, I believe it's back to init. And then we're going to go departure. And we're going to be departing on runway 07 right. And we're going to be flying the Maroos, I believe it's pronounced, 07 right. Or it's this one, Maru 5E. And we're not going to run a transition today. So go ahead and insert that. And then we're going to set a approach plate as well. The only runway we can get the A380 in today is going to be runway 19er. With the favorable wind conditions, obviously we could do... Actually, oh, they're all the same length. Well, we're going to still take runway 19er because it supports ILS. And we're going to be taking the ILS runway 19er Yankee approach. And I don't think there's any transitions. So yeah, we're going to do no trans because, yeah, no trans because the transition would have been through Keflavik. And then we're using the ARSU-3K approach and no transition again. So we'll go ahead and insert that as well. And this is our rough flight plan here. So I'm going to scroll up and we're going to look for discontinuities and work our way down. I was scrolling down the entire time, so it looks like we've got two discontinuities to deal with. I'm just going to go ahead and delete those, and the aircraft should map us back. Back down. Discontinuity. Delete. And insert. So now we have a cohesive flight plan from start to finish. And next we'll grab the aircraft weights. So moving to the aircraft weights, we come over to our little fly-by-wire tablet here. Let me just grab... Oops. Weather. Our two airports. So we'll use that later. Then we're going to go down here and over to the payload tab. And here we can configure the aircraft directly in the tablet, which is pretty nice. You also have max loads if you needed to know them. It will automatically tamper those back down. So you see our max weight is 51.4. So if I do like 95.98.63 or something crazy like that, it'll automatically take us back to 51.4. We're going to simulate a lighter passenger load today. We're only going to have 126 passengers because this is a research flight. But we are going to have a lot of weight on board. 45, 25, 20. Oh, never mind. There we go. And you see we have different loading times for each. So you've got instant, fast, and real, 11 minutes, 2 minutes, and then instant is obviously instant. So we've got that set. Then we can go to our fuel tab as well, adjust our fueling as we need. I don't think we need much more fuel. Now the cool thing is this tablet to some degree actually does work with GSX. So in the GSX tab, let's do, where's my fuel truck?
Refueling truck is on its way.
Okay.
Please don't load aircraft until the fuel truck arrives and ask to do it.
And that's your standard GSF warning. What we can do is pre-select the fuel that we want. So I add just a little bit more. That should be more than enough fuel. And we'll go back to services. I don't know if there's an option, a built-in scenery for the jet bridge, so we're just going to go ahead and grab a stair truck. And you can hear him driving up. There's the fuel truck. It looks like the stairs are in place as well outside. Nope, the stairs are still coming. Where's my beacon on? It's because I'm dumb and turned on the beacon instead of the nav lights. That's why. Alright, so we'll wait for those guys to hook up. And we'll continue with our flight plan. So we just got the oral call saying to use the airplane fuel system to just select the desired fuel quantity. I'm going to go ahead and do a fast refuel time just to keep things moving. And you'll see on our ICAS, we have the refueling indication. If we go to the fuel tab, which again is fully animated, you'll slowly see we've got fuel increasing in
Please
both.
use your airplane fuel system to set the desired fuel quantity.
I am. Please don't do that continuously, GSX. So, obviously not fully implemented, and that's okay. There is GSX integration with the loading of passengers as well. You can actually, when you are loading passengers, you can open your main flight deck door and watch passengers walk in. So that does work. Obviously, there's no jetway or even stairs. That's what I was trying to do with GSX, was to get stairs in position, and they're not coming. So that's unfortunate.
Please use your airplane fuel system to set the desired fuel
Alright, well,
quantity.
she's going to keep doing that. I'm going to go ahead and do the fast load on the boarding, so we'll get folks boarded here. You can look at both the main as well as the upper decks, and you can see seats being populated in real time. Looks like they're loading the main deck, or the upper deck first. Upper deck's loaded, now we're loading the main, and you'll see those seats. It's interesting, they're loading front to back. Normally they load aft front, just to expedite the process. Oh, and my cargo weight didn't change.
Please use your airplane fuel system to set the
Anyway,
desired
once
fuel quantity.
once GSX is done with their fueling situation, because we're definitely taking on fuel right now in the airplane, I will check back and we'll look at setting up our aircraft for departure. So GSX fueling has commenced. You can see the number ticking up on the fuel truck there, as well as the sound effect. Let's look at actually setting up our aircraft for departure. One other thing I did forget was to turn on the bleed air for the APU. So if I come back down here and I go to the air condition page, you can see it's probably a little bit, yeah, it's a little bit chilly. It's cold in Germany right now. So the cabin's currently at 16 and 17 degrees. We're currently sitting at 20 degrees because we have all of this heat from the avionics bay coming up. But those should start to stabilize out. You can see they're actually already rising. So nothing too crazy there. So we've got our flight plan made. Now let's talk about doing our fuel and load. Because obviously this is all blank here, and the aircraft needs to know how heavy it is. So we're going to go back over to the payload tab, and we're going to grab our zero fuel weight. We're going to look at our planned zero fuel weight. It looks like boarding has completed in the, keep wanting to say PMDG, but it's loaded in the fly-by-wire suite, so we're good there. And our zero fuel weight is going to be 313.1 with a percentage of 35.78. So we've got 313.1. What did I say? 35.8? Something like that. Yeah, we'll round it up. 35.8. How much fuel do we want to block? Let's block, I don't know, 10.2. And passenger number, it was 126. So that's that set. Next, we need to look at our takeoff parameters. Now, I have not figured out a good way to calculate takeoff speeds for the 380. There's nothing built in here that I know of. Maybe there's something that I've missed. But I usually just kind of take my best guess. We're pretty light today, so I'm going to set our V1 at 125, our rotation at 138, and our V2 at 139. PHS is looking for 41%. And we should be good to go. Now, if we wanted to set a pre-selected managed speed different than what the aircraft is calling for, we could plug that in here, but I'm happy with 250. For cruise, 0.82 Mach's a little bit slow for my liking, so we're going to go 0.84. And you see that that's copied over now, the 0.84 Mach, and then the approach speed we can also modify if we wanted to. Now before, when I grabbed that weather off of our tablet, there was a reason for that. And we'll refresh this as we get close to Iceland. So pressure is 1,000 millibars even, temps 10 Celsius. So temperature 10 Celsius, and QNH is going to be 1000, like so. Go around, I usually leave this to default, but you can change it as you would like. And I believe that is everything. So now we're set to take off and fly as soon as we finish getting our fuel on board here. And normally this would again be as you're, loading passengers and stuff like that. You probably have already noticed, but these are obviously dual control FMSs, so I can have something up over here versus, doing something over here. And obviously this is a fully customizable screen down here. We've been jumping to and from it. So once we're done refueling, we'll go ahead and get set to push back and get the aircraft started up and ready to go. I lied. While we're fueling up, let's go over the checklist page, because it's a pretty good checklist, built-in checklist page. I know some of you guys really like checklists. I personally just prefer to fly. It's seldom I forget things. It's not a flex, it's just actual. So we've already done our cockpit pre-flight. We're currently loading our fuel. It's confirmed. Our gear pins and covers are removed. Fasten seatbelt sign set to automatic. I'll call that good enough. Barometer is set. So we'll mark that checklist as complete. Please. Thank you. And then we can proceed to the next checklist. And we've got the before start checklist. So we've got the parking brake and takeoff speeds. We'll worry about the beacon when it's time to start up. In the meantime, this gives me the chance, let's throw some additional lighting on the situation here. This gives me the chance to show you guys a few of the self-test options in the A380. Currently the ELT is non-functional. It's just an op switch, unfortunately. It'd be kind of cool to see what it sounds like to test a... That's an op also. Okay, well, we'll move on to fire suppression. I know this one works. So we'll hit the fire test, and you'll see those guys all light up. Like so. Additionally, I can test all of my annunciator lights. Both top, bottom, and center to make sure all of those are working. I think that might be it currently. Wasn't able to find any other functioning tests, but it's cool nonetheless. And I'm sure it'll continue to move along. There's no option to open and test the oxygen masks. I've tried, and currently this screen isn't operative, but hopefully we'll get some sort of functionality out of it. It'll be controlled by this little knob here, and then there's additional push buttons you can do. Okay, now that I've lied to you once, we can move on to setting up the aircraft for pushback. The autopilot I've already set. That's done simply by turning on the flight director. Obviously you scroll up and down to your desired altitude, pull on the knob, and you can pull here and pull here. The aircraft will go into a managed speed and then try to track this nav line that you have based on the flight plan that we've set. Barometer is automatically set, and we're just still waiting for fuel. So a little bit more to go, but shouldn't take too long. All right, everything all set to go. Let's get ready to push back. Come over here and close the window. We took a little bit of a look at that at start of or the initial overview of the fly-by-wire A380. Where are my checklists? Right here. Let's burn through these again. Sorry if I'm ruining your immersion. Okay. So we are set to start now. Let's go beacon on. Fasten seatbelt to manual on. And then we're going to come back to our tablet here. We're going to go back to the ground tab, and then we're going to go to the pushback feature. Now, this is nothing new to those of you guys who fly the fly-by-wire A320 regularly. It's essentially the exact same system. But we're going to use this today instead of GSX. So we're going to go ahead and turn it on, and we're going to hit a warning message here. It essentially just says, if I condense this down, that this may conflict with other pushback suites. Think your GSX, think your better pushback, stuff like that. So we're going to go ahead, click through that. We're going to call up the tug. Tug's now attached. We'll turn off our park brake. And you can see if I actuate my rudder pedals at all of 2 frames per second, I'm able to turn the tug with my feet. And I can also increase and decrease the tug speed with my elevator and rudder controls. So that's pretty cool. So let's give that a shot. We're all fueled up. Let's go and get ready for an engine start. So we'll go over to start, and we'll start engine number 3 first. And I'm actually going to manually set the tug speed. It's the wrong way. There we go. And we've stopped. Do I now have to use the... Yeah, because I used the controller. Okay, that's fine. So we'll use our stick. Starting up of engine 2. We're going to ignore that light post, pretend it doesn't exist. It's fine. So it's a pretty nice, clean, easy, built-in way to get your aircraft pushed back. I think that's good there. So we'll go there. What am I... Oh, my fuel pumps aren't on. That's why the engine's not starting. Turn on your fuel pumps, kids. There we go. Now we should see some life spooling into the engines while the aircraft is spooling up. Let's go ahead and detach our tug. And that goes through just a cooldown period, if you will. There isn't any animated tug or anything like that for us. And then we'll turn off the pushback system. Back to the checklist. Anti-ice is set to automatic. Once we get some hydropower, we'll go ahead and set our pitch trim for 36%. Let's go ahead, start up engine 3. Once engine 3 is spooled, we're going to do a hot taxi here. I do want to point out that currently, for the dev notes, there is no support for the transponder, as well as I think the weather radar. So we will see a couple of ICAS messages show up about our transponder. There's just nothing I can do. So we're going to hit that little check mark to clear that message out. What you can do is set your squawk code. So like if you wanted to do 1200, you can set that, but it's still going to be in standby. There's no way for me to change that I know of. Or if we're flying internationally, in this case 7000. But again, I mean there's no way for me to change the squawk code from what I can tell. Change the operation mode, because that would all be done in here. And as you can see, all of these buttons, all of these knobs, currently non-clickable. So we don't love to see it, but it is what it is. That is engines 3 and 2 started. We're going to go ahead and hot taxi here, and we'll start up engines 1 and 4 while we move. We looked briefly at the lighting suite in the A380 before. Let's take another look while we've got the time. And I'm mean, it just looks good. Absolutely loving it. Tracking a little bit left of that center line, significantly left of that center line, just because I don't want to clip our wings on these light poles. I don't think this taxiway is designed for the A380. So spooling up that final engine, I will catch up with you guys once we're on the threshold for our runway. Pitch trim, I'll work on that. Rudder trim is set to neutral. I'm going to go ahead and mark that as complete. Taxi checklist. We can run through that really quick. Let's arm the ground spoilers. Let's set our auto brake to RTO. Throw in the 2 notches of flaps that the aircraft wants. Can't do anything with the radar again. We can look at the flight control systems. Again, I absolutely love the sound effect of the flaps. Alright, all 4 engines are now spooled. Back to normal. We'll leave the bleeds on for now. So still en route. Again, I'm doing a dual crew job as a single operator. But you can see we've got free and correct flight controls. We'll get a warning because we don't have our... Oh, never mind. Our pitch moved again, which is irritating. Not sure if that's a bug or if it's something I'm doing in the aircraft, but we'll roll that back down to 36%. And we will not taxi off of the runway this time. %. I've had issues reselecting it, but it did work this time, so that's good. Back to the engine page, and I'll catch up with you guys on the threshold. Alrighty, and we are lined up now on runway 7. We're going to wait for that single company aircraft to land here, although he might be lined up for the left-hand side runway. So, back to our checklists. Takeoff runway verified, runway 07. This is where we would do our all call. It's currently not working on the A380, so we'll just breeze through that. And packs 1 and 2 are on. We'll confirm that. Packs 1 and 2 are on, as well as the APU. Let's go fly. See in our iCast down below, we've got a fully completed built-in checklist. Not sure how true to life the turning of the A380 by fly-by-wire is. It's tricky. It's not bad by any stretch of the imagination. It's just tricky. Tricky to get down. You almost have to start turning a little bit early. I remember seeing a video of a Singapore Airlines A380 that had a lot more speed than he probably thought he did, and literally smoked the nose gear. So we're going to try to avoid that for the duration of this and any future videos. But without further ado, let's go flying. The fly-by-wire A380. Rolls-Royce Trent 1000's growling to life. And I'm going to talk through this. If you want an uninterrupted takeoff sequence, check out the initial review, where I don't talk through it. Alright, airspeed's alive, although blurry. Here it comes. There's V1. There's our rotation speed. And there's V2. Positive rate of climb established. Let's go gear up. Apply the profile for a little bit. By hand. over 1,000. Back to the climb detent. First notch of flaps in. And there's those ICAS messages again warning us about our TCAS. So we'll shut those up. Both of those. And I'm happy with the profile, so we'll go autopilot on. Autopilot on. There you go. Manage speed, manage nav heading, and we're climbing up to 36,000. We're going to do a step climb today because obviously we're not going to be able to rocket up to flight level 420 straight away. We've got just too much weight on board.
$2,500.
Descending? No, we're climbing. We're fine. So we'll turn off the APU bleed, let the APU come down to temp. While we're doing that, let's check on the... Oh, my spoilers are out. What the heck? Don't know how that happened. Just hit the wrong button. Oh, that was probably why my autopilot turned on. Anyway, air conditioning. So we're sitting nice at 21, cabin in the back's at 24. A little bit warm for my liking, but hey, if that's what they want, then that's what they get. I believe the A380 has individually controllable climate zones, so... And we'll turn the seatbelt sign back to automatic. And you see these three items here, they're not going to go away for us, unfortunately. I'm out at 250 knots, managed. Once we cross 10,000 feet, we'll throw in that last notch of flaps, let the aircraft accelerate itself away. You can also come in to the speed management center, click on it, and set a managed speed. So if you wanted to go higher or lower, you could, but I'm going to let the aircraft manage itself. We have got quite a ways to go. I think once we get established on this right-hand turn here in about these 40-ish nautical miles, we'll keep the climb out going, and then turn off the seatbelt sign if it hasn't done already. Alright, we're coming up on our 10,000 foot transition. Let's go flaps up to 0. The aircraft's going to manage at 250 while we climb. We might have to up that later on as we continue, just to keep the aircraft happy. And in fact, it's done it itself. So as we cross 10,000 feet, you saw my speed bug went from 250 down here up to now what is 290 knots indicated. Go ahead and switch off the landing lights. Let the AP run for a little bit more, probably till about 16,000 feet, flight level 160, and then shut that off as well. Heard that ding in the back. Fasten seatbelt sign is now off. System status is normal. Electrical system's looking good. I would like to know, does the A380, for those of you who actually either know the aircraft or fly, does it actually pull primary power from generators in descending order? So 16% of generator 1, 12% of 2, and then 1% of 3, and then 4 is just sitting idle. I'd be really curious to know that. Because to me it would seem like you would see accelerated wear in primarily these two engines compared to your left-hand engines. Maybe the aircraft as it flies on will shift. Just a little thought piece that I had. Well, that's about it for a good while. We'll hit our transition altitude of flight level 180, where you actually start calling flight levels instead of 16,000 like I did earlier. And I keep rocking and out of here as the sun begins to come up. That's not where the sun's coming from. Where's the west? This way. As the sun begins to come up, over the German cityscape. Alright, we're coming up on our 10,000 foot transition. Let's go flaps up to 0. The aircraft's going to manage at 250 while we climb. We might have to up that later on as we continue, just to keep the aircraft happy. And in fact, it's done it itself. So as we crossed 10,000 feet, you saw my speed bug went from 250 down here up to now what is 290 knots indicated. Go ahead and switch off the landing lights. Let the AP run for a little bit more, probably till about 16,000 feet, flight level 160, and then shut that off as well. Heard that ding in the back. Fasten seatbelt sign is now off. System status is normal. Electrical system's looking good. I would like to know, does the A380, for those of you who actually either know the aircraft or fly, does it actually pull primary power from generators in descending order? So 16% of generator 1, 12% of 2, and then 1% of 3, and then 4 is just sitting idle. I'd be really curious to know that. Because to me it would seem like you would see accelerated wear in primarily these two engines compared to your left-hand engines. Maybe the aircraft as it flies on will shift. Just a little thought piece that I had. Alright, coming through a managed descent. We're a little bit close to the runway actually for my liking. But we'll see if we can stick it in. We're under 5 miles. So let's go flaps 2. We'll drop the gear. APU probably should have been started quite some time ago. Yeah, and we're high. We're super high. So we're going to go ahead and go around. Also, when you fast forward in the sim, it breaks the A380, so we're flying in absolute silence. But hey, that looks pretty, doesn't it? Looks good. Doesn't sound great. So it's fine, we'll do a manual approach here. Through all of this thick soupy fog, and just make out the ground down below.
2,500.
Happy radar altimeter. And we'll get set up to land, so we'll arm our speed brakes. We're going to set our auto brake to 3. Keep this left-hand turn going. So barometer set, seatbelts minimum set, auto brake set, landing seatbelts on, landing gear on, ground spoilers armed, flaps set. See if we can make out the field down there as we roll back level. Very foggy morning in Iceland today. Just generally low cloud cover. (1,500 feet) AGL. Try this approach one more time. If we can't stick it manually, we'll come back around for a Cat 3 landing, because it's definitely low visibility today. Leaving the auto throttle set, holding us at 160 knots. Visual on the runway. Just make it out. It's going to be an interesting approach, that's for sure. Go manual throttle. Shake and bake landing. We are high and we are fast.
1,000.
A sample trademark.
Pull up.
Copy.
Pull up.
Good old GPWS
Pull up.
screaming at me.
Pull up. Pull up.
Arrest our
Pull
descent
up.
rate. A little bit of rain over the windscreen. We are going to land long, but that's fine. We've got enough braking power to get this airplane pulled
50,
up.
40, 30, 20, 10, 5.
Rough-ish landing. Auto brakes doing their thing. Reversers coming out. Nose gears down. Auto braking. Max reverse. There's 80 knots. Reversers set to close. And brakes can come off.
Auto brake off.
Thank you. Alright, so let's figure out where the heck we're parking. Wipers and APU bleed coming online. There's another ICAS alert about our transponder. I think we're going to come off right here. And back into silence. It's the new EV A380. Try and not smoke that nose wheel too hard. Looks like we don't really have a lot of options for where we're going due to our wingspan. I think I'm actually just going to reverse course here. This taxiway. So originally we were going to head up here and park. This looked like the best option. Yeah, screw it. We'll continue. Let's get back on centerline. And we'll move into shutting down. There we go. Clipping trees everywhere we go. Not looking quite as icy as I was anticipating, although it is windy. You can hear the wind whipping. One thing I am really excited for in FS2024 is the upgraded weather model. Let's go ahead and shut off engines 1 and 4, just so we don't suck any fodder into those wonderful Trent engines. Oh, my rat deployed. Don't know why. Actually, I do know why. It's because the sim broke when sim broke the airplane when I fast forwarded. I didn't want to do a multi-hour long flight, so I used the skip function, which breaks a lot of stuff. But I think this is going to be as good of a place as any up here on the right to park. We've significantly harmed the Icelandic greenery, and I do apologize. But what can you do? Yeah, we're just going to come in here. Wait. Can you hear the APU running? I think you can. Well, that was going to be a surprise for next time, but now you know the A380 does have a working and animated ram air turbine, RAT. That's what RAT stands for, isn't it? I want to look at that closer once we get parked. I do know, I've actually seen, I was able to go to Hamilton Sunstrand, I think they're now Hamilton Standard, in Rockford, Illinois, I believe, and that was the location that was making rats for the A380, amongst other cool things, like the fuel pump for the F-35, which is $250,000 for one. But anyway, I was able to look at and actually touch the RAT for the A380, and the propeller diameter for the ram air turbine on the A380 is larger than the propeller diameter of a Cessna 172. So let that sink in. Anyway, now parked, engines set to idle. Go ahead and park our wipers, and we are set to shut down. So I've already got the EPU up and going, providing us power. We'll shut down those 2 remaining engines. All of our passenger signage can go off. Arc breaker chock set, engines off, wing lights off, fuel pumps going off. I believe that is all of them. Fuel pumps off. And also shut off the beacon since we're not running the engines anymore. Oxygen off, can't do anything with that. Emergency exit lights to off. EFBs off and batteries off. We're not going to do those last 2 steps, obviously, because I want to keep the aircraft somewhat powered on. But that's a little bit more of an in-depth look at some of the systems on the A380 and a shortish flight. Well, shortish for you on board the aircraft. I love where it's gone. Can't wait to see where it is further going. But I think that's going to do it for this video. Let's go outside and take a look at that RAT, as I promised. Okay, so it is, that's strange. So it has this weird forward-facing sprite when you approach it from the front. And again, early access airplane, blah, blah, blah. You know all that. So it's got this forward-facing sprite, which I believe is the deployment orientation. And when you come around to the rear, it goes away, and it actually looks correct. So there's obviously other details and that sort of stuff missing on the RAT. You know, you can see the model is done, but there's no texturing on it. Those hydraulic rams and all that stuff are looking bleh. And then obviously into the bay looks kind of odd. But I think that will do it. Also, my landing gear looked like doo-doo. I wonder if that's because of the extra modification I did. We'll never find out. Anyway, that is a more in-depth look at the fly-by-wire A380. What's rapidly becoming one of my favorite aircraft to fly. The only downside is there's so few real-world airports that can accommodate it, but that's a problem for virtual me. And I hope the real you enjoyed this video. Thank you very much for watching it. I will see you in the next one. Thank you very much for watching again, and as always, take it easy.